Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Come to you live from our comfy couch here in the Oscars, and it's the Gaming Saloon reviews for June 29th, 2024, which hosts Peacemaker 2448 and Rampant Epsilon.
I don't know if Discord cut that out, but hi.
Apparently.
Because I looked over and I'm like, it did not do the thing. Good work, Discord.
Thanks, Discord. It's our last of Dynazenon. Yay!
Yeah, and I don't know how to feel about these last four.
Oh. Is it wish there was more episodes to flesh things out, kind of?
Not really.
Oh.
It's like I think more this time would have been a bad thing.
Okay.
But at the same time, I kind of feel like we probably should have done certain things different because, you know, when your final villain kind of just comes out of nowhere, that can be a problem.
What are you talking about? He's been there since the beginning.
Character him, yes.
Yeah. The fact that he is a kaiju from minute one, yeah, that's not been here.
Yeah. And I feel like that was, we messed up. We weren't supposed to end it like that. And crap.
Shit, we need a final villain. Quick, throw a kaiju in the one guy that doesn't really have a connection to anyone else.
That doesn't have a connection to anyone else, yet oddly has a connection to everyone else.
Pretty much.
Because throughout the course of the show, he has kind of built connections with all of them.
Mm-hmm. Also, I just realized the top of the note says S.S.S. Dynazenon, which means this is apparently a Super Sentai.
I mean, we do have enough people, and they do all come together to make one giant mech. So you're not too far off.
We basically have a Six Ranger team.
Yeah.
The only difference is one of them doesn't pilot a robot, and the other one is the robot.
Also, kind of called it, but you are also right. The way they kind of, you know, tell Knight's backstory can be ambiguous enough to where you don't realize it, but also, yeah, you flat out know it if you watched.
Yeah. That is your only direct connection to S4 Gridman. I don't think you even do you even physically see Akane? I think you see her for a frame.
I think it's obscured enough to where you don't even see her.
Yeah, it's like you don't even see Akane, so you don't even see who Knight is having dinner with. And I love how everyone gets into, like, you know, their backstory things for this episode. Not for Knight. Mainly because he's went and solved all his problems. Like, he's just hanging out here until everyone else, like, solves their problems.
And even vocalizes that.
Yeah. It's like, look, I went through my character arc. I'm cool. I'm waiting till the rest of you show back up because I can't fight this thing solo. As much as I say I could, I can't. I know better.
I mean, it's not his show.
Yep. But I guess any other thoughts before we get into recaps and the like?
No.
All right, episode 9 then. What are these overlapping emotions? So we get a little bit of Chisei's backstory we're not really told anything, but it seems like she kind of is either isolated at school or isolates herself at school and is kind of interested in art and stuff and gives herself tattoos, maybe temporary tattoos, I guess. I'm not sure on that. Of course, that might also be what kind of like pulls her away from other people, because I know tattoos in Japan are looked down upon. Wonder why?
Why?
Because Yakuza.
Makes sense.
If you have tattoos and stuff, it's kind of seen that you might be associated with an Yakuza, or like you're invoking that, because tattoos are a big thing with Yakuza. So, But she has a butterfly tattoo. But now we get to see what her little kaiju seed has grown into, and it's a little baby dragon that's all golden stuff and roars at her and can shrink stuff and grow stuff, because the kaiju, it just can. But apparently can understand her, like a dog essentially, or any kind of pet. And she ends up calling it Goldburn because that's a band she likes, because you see the poster in the background. I have no idea if that's an actual band or not, but that's what it gets called.
I mean, it at least is in this world.
Mm-hmm. We also check in with Yomogi real quick. There's apparently a festival going on in town, and he wants to invite everyone because why not all everyone hang out for a festival? Then we got to Chise more or less talking to Koyomi first, who she doesn't get really much word with because he's busy with stuff with his character for later. And then Galma about like, well, what do we do with a kaiju who seems nice and probably is on our side? Galma's more or less like, well, we have to deal with the kaiju regardless. It's just how it is. And Chise's like, okay, sure, and then continues to walk away with Goldburn as Goldburn slowly gets bigger over the course of the episode because it can.
Reasons.
That's just how kaiju work. I wonder if it could theoretically shrink itself because of its power.
Probably.
I kind
then
of
that
in
would
my
remove the gag kind of deal.
Right, but maybe like a later on thing. It's like, oh, now it can shrink and grow itself because it's learned how to master that power, because it doesn't really use that power after this episode. It kind of just sticks around to do power-up stuff with everyone else.
I mean, that's all it's needed for.
Yeah.
Because we definitely can't finish without a power-up.
Yeah, we got to bring everything together somehow. That's just how this works. But eventually Goldburn gets big enough that it kind of takes Chise for a ride. They kind of fly past her school and then fly back. And I think it may have responded to Chise's emotions of not liking the school and maybe was going to attack it. But then Chise's like, no, bad dragon, bad baby dragon thing. No destroy school. That's a bad thing. So it kind of just flies her off to somewhere in town. Yomogi and Yume catch up with the Yume sister's boyfriend, and they more or less don't really get anywhere. It's kind of just an ambiguous conversation of like, yes, she went out with him. No, she died in an accident. Yes, I probably should have been there for her, but I wasn't for reasons. It's another one of those, there's no real answer here, and Yume needs an answer. And it kind of just breaks her, because this is pretty much the dead end now of like, there's nothing. There's no more leads, no more places to look, no more people to talk to, and she is no closer to an answer than she started here. But she breaks for this. A different kaiju shows up. Yomogi gets called about it. He tells me, he's ready to go off, and Yume's like, go ahead, I'll catch up. Yamogi does so. We see that Koyomi, Gamma, and Knight are already on scene fighting it. They're having a rough go of it because it can kind of make stuff malleable, and it's making them sink into the asphalt of the roads. That's when Yamogi shows up, and Gamma's like, where's Yume? And he's like, she said go on ahead, and then explains what happened. And Galma rightfully shoots him in the face and tells him to turn his ass back around and go find her.
And quit being stupid.
She needs you more than we need you right now. Shut up and go find her, go help her, and then come back when you've solved the problem. Stop being a bad boyfriend. So he goes and does that. As it happens, Yume's at the tower that we keep visiting all the time. Chisei's also nearby with Goldburn. So Chisei and Yume have a bit of a heart-to-heart. It helps a little. But then kind of Goldburn shows up because he's a good boy trying to help. It also doesn't help that he is taller than the building now. So when Yamogi shows up and died a soldier, he's like, kaiju, and then punches Goldburn across, like over a bridge. Thankfully, Goldberg doesn't turn right around and punch him back. But because of this, Yume ends up falling off the building because she's chasing after the hunks that kind of slip off. And this is my personal interpretation, because in the next episode, yes, the next episode, we again don't say what happened to her sister. I think this is what happened to her.
That wouldn't surprise me, truthfully.
She slipped off the tower, either at going after her unks or just in general, and that's what happened. There's nothing to back this up, mind you, but I just feel like the fact that as she's falling off, she kind of gets flashes of all the stuff that's been talking about stuff. It's kind of, I feel like that's the read you're supposed to have of, oh, this is what happened.
Well,
it was an accident.
It would make sense too, because the comments we get about she wasn't the type to do that kind of deal.
Yeah.
These mixed signals that they kind of have been leaving breadcrumbs with, it wouldn't surprise me if that wasn't one of the interpretations they might have actually thought about doing at one point.
And also, where do we see her in the next episode? At the end. Anywho, Yamogi tries to save her, but it's Goldburn that catches her like a good boy, just gets her in his mouth and just is like, yay, I saved you. And Yamogi and Yume are like, he's on our side, right? And Chisei's like, yes, he's on your side, or on our side. And they're like, cool, you ride with him. And so three of them finally show up. Chisei joins second on like some like crane tower to cheer everybody on. Everybody comes together to make Kaiser Grid Night. I forgot, like after this show, until like the toys were coming out, that Grid Knight actually shrinks to combine on his own accord.
That sounds about right.
I always forget that. I'm just like, oh yeah, he does, because it doesn't quite like visually click for me, but I'm like, oh yeah, he is the same size as Dynazenon, so he shrinks to take Soldier's place in the combination so that Soldier can be the cannon for the combo. But yeah, we get Kaiser Grid Knight. There's not too much different. It's just a new chest piece, which is like 90% of gold burn, a new helmet, which is like 10% gold burn, and then Soldier turns into the cannon we saw a few episodes ago. Otherwise, it's basically the same. Oh, and a purple cape, because Grid Knight. It's the only reason it has a purple cape. It's his colors. But they tear apart the monster. They try to go catch the festival, but they're way too late. It's already over and everybody's packed up. But they're like, oh, we'll go get fireworks ourselves and go have a little festival of our own. So they go do that, have fun and stuff. We see it all throughout the credits. And it's a nice little chance to celebrate, and hooray. On to episode 10. Which memories do you regret? So we've got less and less kaiju showing up. So the kaiju eugenics, I was derping on names. I don't know why. Kaiju eugenics are trying their best, but like I said, kaiju are few and far between now. They do try to control this one. I think Majima tries to control it. But as soon as she connects with it, I think she gets a flash of something and realizes, oh fuck, we shouldn't mess with, blinks out of his existence. All that's left of her is a shadow. The others are like, wait, what the fuck happened? And then they blink out of existence. And then Shizuma's like, this is a really good one. And then he blinks out of existence. And like, I think the building around the kaiju also blinks out of existence, which, okay, is it just me, or does it feel like on purpose there's like a frame missing every time someone poofs?
Oh, it's definitely on purpose.
Okay, because when I was watching the episode, I'm like, okay, it can't just be me, but it feels like the show purposely like has left the frame out, or like has like pauses for like a second when it happens, because it feels like it does. But yeah, that's what happened. Everyone's blinking out of existence. Everything's blinking out of existence in like the vicinity of this kaiju. We catch up with the crew.
I'm wanting to say might be the cutaway we have on the elevator as they're going to confront it. I'm wanting to say that you talking about it having a like a frame hiccup. I'm wanting to say that's actually highly visible right there, if I'm not mistaken. Because that the positioning of both of them kind of shift a little bit too.
Yeah, it
so
helps.
I think that is intentional.
It helps give an unnerving feeling this episode, because just it feels like your brain just has physically stopped of like, wait, what happened? Like, it helps you get in the mindset of everyone else of just like, wait, what the fuck happened? Wait, what's happening? Because literally people just blip.
And it kind of makes sense too, seeing as how this kaiju is manipulating time and space.
Yep.
So it kind of makes sense to give you that mindset of, wait, it just rewrote stuff. Hold on here.
Yep. But by the end of the episode, the entire town is a fucking wasteland. There is no sign that there was anything or anyone here, not even any shadows left. It is a fucking wasteland. That is how bad this kaiju is. But yeah, we catch up with the crew who are like watching a kite fly up in the sky, and then Yume goes poof, and they're like, oh shit, what happens? And then they finally spot the kaiju. They try to go confront it. Knight shows up with Second to try to be like, all right, Yume's not there to combine. I'll go fight it. Boop, there he goes. They all hop on Stryker to try to like give themselves room to work with. Galma comes up with the plan of, okay, everyone's getting sucked into the kaiju, more or less. We have to go in ourselves in order to get everybody out. So they're like gonna get up on a tall building and hop in its mouth, because that's a sensible plan. Granted, this is Galma's idea.
I mean, it's a completely sensible plan. What's the worst that can happen? They get killed?
Yeah, it's like, well, we're out of ideas, so let's go with Galma's idea. But as they're going up an elevator, as Tommy was talking about, Koyomi blimps mid-elevator ride. And once they get up on top, Galma's already blipped by the time we cut back, because I think we cut away to Chisei in Second getting picked up by Goldburn, because he's like, oh fuck, I'm flying you out of here. Because he picks up the both of them, puts them in like a protective bubble, and is pretty much flying overhead for like the rest of the episode until everyone gets back. Which, credit to Goldburn, somehow he's resistant to this. Because as we see with Yume, he can blip things out at a distance. But somehow Goldburn's immune. At least
probably
immune enough.
Because he's kaiju also.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that I can think of.
Yeah. Oh, also a note, I forgot to put this in the notes, but the the eugenics do try to control Goldburn in the last episode, but I forget who it was, but he's like, I can't. In fact, it's fighting me. It literally is just like, no, go away. But yeah, Komi and Galma get flipped. Yamogi does hop in, so he hops in. We see a bit of his. It doesn't really go into too much. Like, we just know his dad's not there. His mom's meeting the person that I assume we've been seeing all season. I don't think we ever... I feel like he's been named, but I just don't remember his name. His new dad.
I can't remember the name.
Fair.
It's been said like twice.
Yeah. But he gets a little bit of that, but Soldier shows up and he uses that to kind of break through the barrier into, I guess, this nexus of sorts that lets him, lets him look into other people's. But everyone's kind of stuck in whatever past memories they have. Yumi is stuck in her memories involved her sister. Yamogi's stuck in the memories with his friend that is Yamogi's boss that we haven't seen in about a dozen episodes, or about a half dozen episodes, actually. And then Galma's stuck in his memories from 5,000 years ago. Yamogi specifically tries to break Yume out, and we see he tries the brute force method of, it is a wall, therefore break it. He tries real hard and basically beats himself senseless to do so. Because he ain't got a whole lot but himself and Soldier, and he tries both. He is a beaten, bloodied mess by the time he actually breaks through. But he does manage to reach Yume once, just a little bit, so Yume gets a piece of wing. Because every time they get stuck in the memories, we see their pieces of Dynazenon kind of break apart into pieces and kind of just float around them. They don't see them, but we see them. But by the time Yume's memories gets to the day her sister died, that's when Yamogi and Yume kind of both break the barrier at the same time, and they both try to go save her sister. I say quote unquote save because this is a memory, a timey-wimey space memory that can't actually happen. I assume they both know that to some extent.
Maybe.
I'm like, you can't really save her unless you believe you can maybe rewrite reality even when you do this, but that's not how this works. Anywho, they do that. Yume catches up with her sister on the top of the tower and just gets to talk things out with her about their relationships up and how they actually feel about each other. And it gives some really nice closure for Yume, especially because apparently Yume forgot that her sister promised her to see her at the recital that was going to be, I think, the next day or the day of she died. I forget the exact series of events that was going to be there, but it's like that was a thing and she completely forgot about it, and it helps a lot. Yume even just kind of sticks around with her sister and just tells Yamogi, go grab everybody else, I'll catch up. So he does that. And he gets to do an Ultraman rise. He gets to do the whole, rising up into the screen with Dyna Soldier to go get Koyomi specifically, which is kind of cool. But he grabs Koyomi, who's just like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm done. Let's go. And Galma, who's we see he is murder all of the other eugenics back in the day after, I believe they tried to kill Galma? And Galma's like, that's not cool, fuck y'all, and then dies. But Yume kind of gets her closure, joins the rest. They pick up Knight, who we get the smallest glimpse of the diner scene after he first killed Gridman. But that's about all that we see of his backstory. But he joins up with the rest of the Dynazenon crew. They break out. They hook up with Goldburn. go fight the monster. Unfortunately, the monster has super speed because this monster just doesn't have enough stupid bullshit powers attached to him. He has super speed too. But I do love their solution to it of, it's fast? Okay, let's create a power wide enough, or an attack wide enough that it can't dodge through sheer force of area. They just create a ring attack that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it smacks the damn thing in half. But that gets everything back to normal. Yumi can actually pull the Yonks apart now. She's kind of more or less to visually show she solved the problem with her sister and stuff. She's happy now. She does put him back because why not? She can pull him back as she desires. And I think she leaves it on her desk for the rest of the episodes. We don't see them in her hands. Or no, we see it in her hands in 11, but we don't see it in her hands in 12. Because it's on her desk in 12. Yeah, that is episode 10. How do you feel halfway through before our two-part finale?
I feel like these two did good for trying to set up the end, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of felt weird. It didn't feel like it needed more, but it also didn't feel like it almost didn't feel like it scratched all the itch kind of deal for it either. And I don't know if maybe it's because of the fact of, you know, where you're kind of dealing with multiple characters, trying to make sure we're getting enough progression with each of them.
Yeah.
And that's what's doing it, or what kind of deal?
Mm-hmm. It is a 5-man crew, and like 4 of them have character arcs that we're covering for the entire show. Because Galma doesn't really have a character arc. He's just here to facilitate everyone else's and to kind of be the mentor of the team. It does feel like that by the end. I feel like Chisei gets the least amount, but it also doesn't help that hers comes so late. Like hers is basically 9 and that's it. And she's kind of done. So we kind of see the end point of everybody in 11, and then we'll come back to it at the end of 12. But for the most part, we're done with everybody's character arcs at 10. But yeah, any other thoughts before we get into the finale?
Nah.
All right, then. Our 2-part finale with episode 11, What Wish Can't Come True. So the Kaiju Eugenics are down on their luck because there's basically no more Kaiju. Whatever seeds were still out there are gone because of the last Kaiju, and their last Kaiju was kind of the last thing they had. So they don't know what to do with themselves. One of them decides to go talk to Galma and try to like maybe hash things out or something. Galma won't buy it. Another one's like, I'm gonna go kill humans myself, and immediately gets thrown in jail. Good job. And then Majima just goes and drinks. Or Majima just goes and drinks. Whereas Shizu's like, all right, I see how this is. Fine, I'll do things myself. But on the flip side, everyone else is kind of moved on. Like, Koyomi's out job hunting. Yomogi and Yume are both in a better place school-wise and like with each other. Chisei's even going back to school. We see her in her school uniform trying to go back to school. Unfortunately, Second and Night run into her and are just like, hey, by the way, we gotta take Goldburn with us because we need this place to be kaiju free because it will be safer that way, and she doesn't take it super well. Granted, I understand them when they say that like kaiju can break down barriers, so having Goldburn still kicking around probably will cause other kaiju to like maybe show back up somehow. Also, what the hell is Goldberg going to do when all the kaiju are gone? Is it just gonna just fly around and just hang out? I feel like going with Knight in second at least gives Goldberg something to do. Like he can go help them handle more kaiju. But yeah, we see the other kaiju eugenics like try to talk to people and stuff. Galma beats up the one guy because he doesn't want to hear any of their shit. You may see this and kind of break it up. And that's when Galma talks about why for his flashback. Essentially, he fell in love with a princess 5,000 years ago, and shit happened. Her country tried to kill him. The kaiju eugenics tried to kill the country. He killed them back and then died from, I believe, being poisoned. And apparently the princess also died, but he knows that because someone told him, from which we don't hear why. And as we later find out that there is a mummy missing from a museum, would you care to guess what all of this means? Because there is a reason for all of these weirdly specific details and stuff.
Okay.
So all of this is referencing a very specific episode of Gridman, where a mummy got revived in a museum because of a kaiju attack. The mummy is Galma. Specifically from that episode of Gridman. It is a retcon, mind you, because that is not what they had in mind, few dozen years ago for this Tokyo show, but that is essentially what they're saying. And I believe the voice line that we hear about the princess being dead is one of the characters from Gridman telling him that. I don't know if it's reused audio from the episode or if it's just re-recorded audio from the episode, because I didn't watch the episode for this, but that's what this is all referencing. Essentially, the entirety of Dynazenon is predicated on the events of one random ass episode of Gridman.
That sounds about right.
All of this happened because in one random episode, some random mummy got revived by a kaiju.
Yep, that tracks.
Do you need to know any of this? Absolutely fucking not, because none of this matters.
You need to know that about as much as knowing that Knight is anti.
Yes. In fact, I believe when the show originally aired, the subtitles got it wrong. Instead of a missing mummy, it's a missing mirror.
That's funnier.
Even though on screen you see Yomogi looking at the article and it's a mummy. It is a oopsie translation error that I don't know how got past, because contextually you should go, wait a minute. Why is it a mirror? They're looking at a picture of a mummy. But yeah, I think maybe later releases have fixed that error. But when the show initially aired, that probably confused the people more of like, wait, why are they talking about a fucking mirror? What mirror? Also, them guessing that Galma is the mummy is correct. Yes, the mummy is Galma. Anywho, once they're done to talk about this, Yomogi tries to ask Yume out to be girlfriend. She's about to answer, but then Shizubu shows up and is like, hi, I'm here to be the last boss, and tries to kill them. But then Galma shows up and takes the shot and takes a couple more shots before Knight shows up to bail them all out. But then Shizubu's like, all right, I'm done playing, and turns into a kaiju. Big ass fuck off kaiju. Knight, seeing that Galma is hurting badly from the fight, and also apparently he's been dying all season, because I think when he revived, I think the poison kicked back in and he's just been slowly dying of the poison ever since. Because he's never looked that healthy the entire show. And I think the splotches that we see on his chest have always been there, just not as present. I might be wrong, but I think that's kind of been the case. But yeah, Knight takes Dynazenon from Galma, combines with Goldburn into just a pilotless Kaiser Grid Knight and tries to fight the kaiju, and it goes poorly. He gets his ass handed to him because, oops, without pilots, this is like a quarter as strong as it should be. But we end the episode as the city is on fire and the kaiju runs rampant. Taking us to episode 12, what was I entrusted with? So the kaiju Genesis crew, all in their separate spots, see this kaiju. One of them tries to control it, realizes it's Shizumu, and they're like, let us combine. We will become more powerful. And so Shizumu eats them, and now all four of them are in there, and it's in an advanced form that pretty much blows Kaiser apart into the pieces that it forms from. Knight stands back up and proceeds to fight the kaiju solo for like the rest of the episode until everyone else gets there. Because also everybody's just separated. Toyomi is, I think, back home. Chise was on a subway train from, I think the place where they train and all, because I think that's where Goldburn took her, or she met up with Goldburn. And then Yomogi, Yume, and Galma in second are just at the rivers, by a river. But the pieces of Dynazenon are just scattered throughout the city, so everyone just goes to where their pieces are. Koyomi actually finds his first, and goes and joins Knight in Goldburn because Chise finds Goldburn as well. And then it's like, hey, Goldburn, you okay? And Goldburn's like, yeah, I'm okay, and just goes back into the fight. I will point out now, because we see it with Yumogi and Yume here, they both have the same S. It looks more like a Z because it's like 3 like scratches, but I think it's supposed to be an S. Scars. Yomogi's on one of his hands. Yume's is on her thigh. Koyomi has one, and I think you see it for like 2 frames in the previous episode, or not in the previous episode. In 10, it's actually on his foot. But I think you see it for like 3 frames, and I don't think they call back to it in this episode. I don't remember seeing it, but I know he has one. It's just not somewhere they focus on. But I figured I'd throw that out there because it's like, oh, they all have the Galma scar now. But he joins the fight. Yumogi and Yume find theirs. Yumogi actually finds his and then picks up Yume and takes her to hers. They all join the fight. Galma with second helping him pilot. Diver shows up. Knight's like, all right, cool, everyone's here. Let's put it together. They perform Kaiser, and it's pretty much just a brawl from this point as we kind of go back and forth from one of the kaiju eugenics and then the person most associated with them on the Dynazenon team. Just back and forth, just throwing punches and kicks and beams and all that. This exchange ends with a beam clash. Kaiser's on the back foot in this beam clash until Yumogi decides to pull the trump card he's been sitting on and hopes it works as he actually tries to control the kaiju that is Shizumu. And he actually does it just long enough to force the kaiju to kind of like lift its head up and stop the beam attack. So everyone splits up. Goldburn and Knight combine, so Knight now has the flight pack essentially. Before this, Goldburn actually has a shield form that he can form just on his own, because Goldburn can just do whatever it wants. They break a part of the kaiju to kind of like chip away at it. Dynazenon also like transforms and sends it flying. I do love that to start the fight, start this last part of the fight, they throw a punch, and the punch, the arm is surrounded by rockets. That's really cool and dumb. That it's a rocket punch, but not that kind of rocket punch. But they go into the Rex form. Them plus Knight fire off a shot. It does most of the damage to the kaiju, but to finish it off, Knight goes for a punch, and Rex just headsbutts it in the face. And that causes the kaiju to go kaboom. It takes all 4 of the eugenics with it, so hooray, the day is saved. Unfortunately, Galma's pretty much on his last leg, and he's just like, I didn't meet the princess because she didn't revive with us, but I did get to meet these 3 people, and that makes me happy. And he dies and Dynazenon goes offline. And to end this show, we parallel the start of Gridman, where that same little one light kind of breaks apart into this little constellation of sorts. We see that here with the remaining pilots plus second kind of being in those lights as they're kind of getting lower to the ground. Knight's still transformed, so he's not one of them. And everyone's just like, where's Galma? As they look up to Dynazenon just offline and kind of like lost its color. We cut to 3 months later. It's kind of a rainy day as they kind of like pay their respects to Galma and say goodbye to Knight and Second, who I guess have stuck around for 3 months to make sure that the kaiju are gone. I assume there's been no more kaiju attacks, but just to be sure, they just stuck around just to be safe. Because I don't know why else they would stick around for 3 months. But they take Goldburn, who's kind of like hauling Dynazenon, who's still large and offline with them. Chisei says goodbye to Goldburn happily. The gang just moves on. Koyomi gets a job thanks to his ex's husband because that lucked out. Chisei's school is kind of destroyed at the moment, so she can't go back to school, but I feel like she will go back to school. And instead of a butterfly tattoo, she has a dragon tattoo now. That is kind of supposed to be reminiscent of Goldburn, and also my personal headcanon, that's her equivalent of the S scar that everyone else has. Since she's technically not a pilot, she's associated with Goldburn, so she gets the dragon. Therefore, they're S.S.S.S. Dynazenon, because the dragon's Dynazenon. It's a really dumb headcanon, but it's my headcanon for why she doesn't have an S scar like everyone else. Yomogi's happy with his new dad because they're at the festival and stuff, and he's happy to be there. He kind of just waves off Galma. It's like, oh, he won't be attending because he's banned at the school, which is technically true.
Yeah.
And him and Yume are helping out their classes, like horror-themed cafe. Yomogi's a mummy. Yume's some like princess ghost thing because, hey, it's Galma and his princess parallels, and we kind of end on them. Like, we see their scars are next to each other. But we properly end in what I'll just call a space between worlds, because it's like a computer. It's kind of like that upside down computer world we saw in Gridman, but it's both upside down and right side up. We see Dynazenon there. It kind of comes back online. We see its eyes light up. It turns to the camera, and that's the end of the show. We don't get an explanation. We don't find out why. That's just how it is. Don't worry, Gridman Universe will tell you what happened there. But that is the end of Dynazenon. How do you feel after this little 12-episode ride?
I stand by what I originally said, and I think it's more pacing.
Fair.
I feel like between the two of them, the amount of episodes is right. Problem is we've got too little to try to actually hold it together.
Yeah.
In the last show, and then too much in this one. I feel like there needs to be a happy medium.
Yeah, if we got, I don't know, like if it was 24 episodes, or no, it's 24 episodes already. If it was like 30 episodes and you split those extra like 6 episodes between the two of them, that might be better.
I don't know. I think 12 would probably have to kind of work.
Yeah.
For Gridman, I think Dynazenon needed more though. I think it needed a better spacing out of stuff.
Which feels weird to say because it's like, oh yeah, Gridman doesn't need anything for its 12 episodes. Dynazenon needs more than 12 episodes, and I'm like, wow, that says a lot about the strength of the characters in one show over the other. Which makes me go...
I have to wonder if it's just they didn't have it fleshed out as strong. for Gridman.
Probably.
And then they not only did that, but added characters for Dynazenon, and that kind of made the opposite problem.
Yeah. That does make me feel like, oh, this is the reason they chose what they did for the crossover film, because I'll just say this. The crossover film kind of uses the Gridman crew as the primary crew. The Dynazenon crew is kind of secondary to it. They come in and help. But the movie is really about the Gridman crew and kind of wrapping things up with them. And that honestly makes sense, where I'm like, the Dynazenon crew are the ones that don't need more time in character development, whereas the Gridman crew, I honestly would want more with them. Just my feeling on it. But yeah, would you care to take a guess on why Dynazenon's back online? Because I had a theory before we got to Gridman Universe on what happened.
Honestly, I have no idea.
My theory was that Galma became one with Dynazenon, and that he's essentially like Gridman's buddies, where they have a mechanical body in terms of a vehicle or something, but they can also have a human form. That's what happened to Galma. He became one with Dynazenon, and he's like essentially both Dynazenon and Galma now. That was my theory going after the show ended on what happened, because that made sense to me of like, oh, he died in the cockpit. It was this thing entrusted to him. That's how he like keeps living now.
And it would have made sense coming out of Gridman too. So I could see that.
Especially when our first teaser for Gridman Universe was Gridman with Dynazenon in Rex form. I'm just like, okay, they got to get Dynazenon back somehow. And I'm like, oh, Galma is Dynazenon now, specifically the Rex form. That just makes sense. But yeah, in 2 weeks, we'll find out more, find out if that's true or not, because we'll be watching Gridman Universe and the not great quality rip from the one airline, because this movie is still not released officially in English for some godforsaken reason. And apparently we'll not get a dub, because the English voice actors are even like, where the fuck is this movie? Because they're confused about it too. So clearly they haven't been called in to do a dub for this movie yet. If ever. Anywho, anything else?
No.
All right. Between now and then, tomorrow, it's something.
I'm not calling it being Cage 2. Because I legitimately don't know what happened with that, and I might have to just reinstall.
Fair. I might have lucked out on mine, because I went through, because you went through there.
It could possibly be something to do with the changes for the generator, because I tried doing the emblem setup that they had in it, so it could be an issue with some of the new stuff.
Oh, okay.
It could also possibly be that I left mods on that may or may not function properly.
Fair, because I think the only extra things I have are Kairi, the female voice pack for Sora, and that's basically it.
Well, I figured in the past, when I've left the high contrast chest mod on, if it wasn't compatible, it just didn't work. So I figured, okay, well, that should be fine. But that could be what's causing that. Or it could also be the Forms hair color mod one that I've got. It could be that one too.
I think I tried what's a middle ground for that high contrast one. That's like it's not as much, but it still has that same, like, the chests are colored appropriately to what's in them.
Well, it looks like there's a way that the generator's doing that now.
Oh, okay.
So if that's the case, then that's good. But it could be either of those, but I'm leaning towards it's something with either a mod or it is something with the game files. Because I thought it was weird before I had hit the problem that I wound up getting final form and couldn't use it because I didn't have enough drive gauge. So something went weird there. I just don't know what caused that kind of deal. One of those I might have to make another seed that's more just flat kind of deal.
Yeah.
And see if it was some of the new changes or if it was the mods kind of deal.
Yeah, I know that the issue we've had with the black screen, but you actually have full control and stuff in the menus, that's happening more often, and now it happens on item gets after like a world is complete and stuff. Like when it's like full screen, like an item get, it happens on that now.
Do you have the skip cutscenes on? Because sometimes that is what's happening with that one.
Yeah, it probably is skip cutscene that's causing that. Because you get the item, because I got an item on the tracker, but if it's not something the tracker checks, you won't know what it is. So have fun guessing what item you got.
It's probably something with the skip cutscenes. And see, I didn't even have that one on. I did not have that setting turned on either, so I mean, I know it wasn't that caused the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not going to be KH2 tomorrow.
Yeah, I just followed the thing they had step by step. I updated the generator and I updated the tracker when I realized the old trackers do not work anymore. Period.
Well, then you didn't follow them step by step because they kind of linked the new one too.
Right. I got the new tracker as well. I didn't realize that it was like, oh wow, even old trackers don't work. Damn, you pretty much are starting from scratch. Across the board.
That's why I'm wondering if something might have happened on that end. Because it's almost as if some kind of scripting is not functioning properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have to just get rid of everything and start over.
Probably wouldn't be a half bad idea. But it will be something we do tomorrow that's not KH2. Thursday, I am doing Zenless Zone 0 since it comes out Thursday. Next Friday...
A thing.
A thing. I was like, were we doing a thing or is it a thing? And next Saturday will be TGS. We'll get to talk shops on games and stuff in a post E3 landscape. And by post E3, I mean I think there's a Metal Gear Direct supposed to happen, and I think is there a Capcom Direct supposed to happen? Yeah, I think there's a Capcom Direct happening before next Saturday for some stupid reason. So we'll probably have to talk about both of those amongst other stuff. So if you like what you're seeing, folks, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chipping away that affiliate goal at TGS Network on Mastodon, on social, and at TGS Saloon on Twitter. We give you updates on life. Thanks so much, Point, Discord, Jack. This is Drop by, say hi. See you tomorrow, folks.